Hello, Movie Mavens! Welcome back to another video on the B Movies channel. My name is Bailey, and I put the B in movies. I hope that you all are having a wonderful week so far. I'm actually having a really good week. And to start out the Bailey Babbles, oh my gosh, my blue light glasses are fogging up. For those who don't know, I live in Texas, and we're already hitting triple-digit heat, and I hate it. Anyway, moving on. This week in the Bailey Babbles, I want to kind of talk about. It's a continuation of what we did. I think last week about like giving yourself some leeway and some grace. My blue light glasses are fogging up again, so we're just gonna take them off for a minute. We've talked about this before, but I am so hypercritical of myself, and like all of my friends know this. I am my own worst enemy a lot of the time. I'm my own worst critic. And something that I've been really trying to work on this year is giving myself some leeway. And what I mean by that is if I don't complete everything on my to-do list for the day, not getting upset with myself. If I plan to write like 10 or 20 pieces for Elliot in a certain amount of time, not getting mad at myself if that doesn't get accomplished. And I just, right now, the world is horrifying, y'all, and terrifying, and I'm just here to say, it's okay if you need to push laundry back a day or two. It's okay if you wanted to read 100 pages in your book this week and you didn't. You read 40. You know, we're just going to take these off for a minute because I like have my fans going and everything, and it's still 400,000 degrees here. It's okay. And just, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I know for me this is easier said than done because, again, it is a work in progress for me. It is something I've been working on all year long of, like, just, even, like I said, with B-movie stuff where, like, if I don't record at the specific time I wanted to, I'm not beating myself up. If we've never had a video go out late, but I'm like, even if a video has to go out late a couple times, you still put a video out. And so I just want to say, go easy on yourself. Again, I know it's easier said than done. And also, excuse me, also, there are obviously some things that we have to do, right? Like you have to get your license renewed. You have to sometimes go to the post office. You have to run errands. And so there are always going to be things we have to do, but just give yourself a little grace when it comes to the things you don't, is my main message here. So that will do us for the Bailey Babbles. And yeah, just be kind to yourself and everyone, except for there are some people doing things in this world that I don't want to be kind to, and I haven't been, but that's fine. So moving on, let's go to the blog roundup. So for this week over on the B Movies blog, on Monday we talked about The Strangers Chapter 1. We also talked about The Strangers Chapter 1 last week on the channel. Full review is up. Y'all know this, I did not like it one bit. I even rewatched like the original Strangers the other day, and like once you rewatch it again after seeing chapter 1, like it makes it even worse, because I'm even a big fan, and I know that this may be controversial. I love Strangers Pray at Night too. Like I love the first two. The second one's great. I love the pool scene in Strangers Pray at Night. I think its cinematography is chef's kiss. I will never be able to not watch it and think of Tiffany's I Think We're Alone Now, because that's the song that they put in the trailer. So I just really like this movie, and this chapter 1 is a mess. Tuesday we talked about the Babysitters Club, which will be our deep dive today. Like with Sweet Valley High, I grew up with the Babysitters Club. I did not know something cool that I found out that I'll tell you about in the deep dive that I think is even more awesome. And I just, I feel like if you know, you know. It's like Sweet Valley High. Like if you know the Babysitters Club, you know the Babysitters Club. Next up, this week we have kid and teen spy content. When I was growing up, again, like in the aughts, for some reason we were obsessed with the idea of teenagers and kids as spies. I don't know why. I had too much anxiety to ever be a child spy. But we were obsessed with them. So I dive into that and some of my favorite movies like Agent Cody Banks and Catch That Kid. On Thursday, we talked about John Waters. Throughout Pride on the B Movies blog this month, we're going to be spotlighting and talking about a lot of LGBTQI plus filmmakers, actors, content creators, and just expect more Pride pieces coming out throughout the month. Like next week, I know there's definitely a spotlight coming out and a piece that's really fun. I'm already writing 2 more, so just know that during Pride Month, we are going to highlight a lot of LGBTQI plus content, so get excited. And then today, you can read a piece on my favorite music videos. I love doing these my favorite ... lists for y'all. I think it's really fun, and it's also a really cool opportunity for me to sit down and like revisit some of these music videos, revisit some of my favorite content that I maybe haven't watched in a while. And so these are really fun to put together. So just to recap, this week over on the B Movies blog, the review on The Strangers Chapter 1, fair warning, it's not good. The Babysitter's Club, kid and teen spy content, spotlight on John Waters, and my favorite music videos. So next up, let's go ahead and do this week's Bite Size Sunday review. If you are new to the channel, Bite Size Sundays are tiny little reviews we do over on our Instagram, which is just at bmovieschannel. And these are reviews that it's content I want to talk about, but I don't think it necessarily constitutes like its own piece, or I may not have enough to say about it to make it a full piece. And so this way I can still give you my recommendation or my opinion on something without having to put it on the B Movies blog. So this week's hint, which you only get here on YouTube, it's a perk of subscribing to the channel, is See Johnny Walk. This review is going to be an interesting one. That's all I'm going to say. So, I think that will do us for housekeeping. So let's go ahead and jump into the meat and potatoes of today's video with our deep dive, which our deep dive, again, if you're new, this section of the video is just reserved for either talking about a piece that we wrote on the B Movies channel or talking about something that is related to a piece that went up on the B Movies channel this week. So let's talk about the Babysitter's Club. So, like I said earlier, I grew up with the Babysitter's Club, Sweet Valley High. Those were 2 staples in my house. Like, we had the Sweet Valley High board game, and I had the Babysitter's Club books. I watched the original series, which is only 13 episodes, which is the wildest thing to me, because it felt like they were always on. They always had reruns on. I believe Disney and ABC Family both did reruns. But there's only 1 season of it, which is wild to me. Loved the movie. Wish I still had. I'm super jealous. Elliot actually has her the original clamshell VHS at her parents', and I'm so jealous. I wish I had mine. Mine might be in my sister's garage, but I don't know. And a lot of moving and stuff when I was growing up, I'm not sure where it went. But it was just something that was a big staple in my house. And I also loved, and if you read the Canceled Too Soon piece from last week, I loved the reboot that Netflix did. I thought it was excellent, and it was really canceled. Like, no one really is sure why it's canceled, like a lot with Netflix shows, where it's just kind of like, okay, I guess that's a decision that was made. So for those, if you're not familiar with the Babysitter's Club, it is kind of like a coming-of-age series where these girls establish the Babysitter's Club, obviously, where they babysit children, but they also deal with things like divorce. Stacy, one of the core 4, has diabetes. Claudia is Asian American, and so there is some racism that she faces. There are just so many difficulties and nuances of growing up with these 4 girls. And then they also have a lot of supplementary members as well. And so our core 4 are Christy Thomas, Marianne Spire, Claudia Kishi, and Stacey McGill. And then as our secondary characters that kind of come in and out, we have Dawn Schaefer, Mallory Pike, Jesse Ramsey, Logan Bruno, Shannon Kilborn, and Abby Stevenson. My personal favorite was always Claudia, which I feel like is not surprising because she always had the coolest clothes. She's a creative, she's an artist, and she was always my favorite growing up. I just felt kinship with her. And you can basically break down the BSC universe into 4 core parts, which are the books, the original TV series, the movie, and the reboot. So the Babysitter's Club came to fruition by Anne M. Martin, and so the first book was released in 1986. And the amount of novels that Anne M. Martin herself wrote is a little conflicting across the internet, but it looks like the first 30 to 35 were solely written by her. And then between 1986 and 2000, they did the same thing like with Sweet Valley High, where they hire a ghostwriter. And where they hire ghostwriters under the same pen name. But it seems like Anne M. Martin may have written up to 60 to 80 of those books herself from 1986 to 2000, along with the ghostwriters. Anne M. Martin also, I thought that this was really cool. She seems to keep her personal life private, but she did come out as queer, and I think that's something really awesome to highlight because during, A, it's Pride Month, and B, in my opinion, I think it just kind of shows when we have a lot of these beloved authors and creators of some of our favorite childhood content, when people try to say, like, being gay is new or being LGBTQI plus is new, it's not. It's just people were not able to express themselves or didn't feel comfortable. Or in Anne M. Martin's case, it may have just been she wanted to keep her personal life personal, and that's fine. That's her choice. So the point I'm trying to make is that LGBTQI plus people have always been here. We have always been here. It's just whether or not we've been comfortable expressing ourselves. And so I do want to say one thing really quick. Elliot and I are both members of the LGBTQI plus community. And so I've said this before on the channel, but if our content makes you uncomfortable, or if in any way you don't support the LGBTQI plus community, we are probably not the channel or the blog for you. And that's your decision. But I just want to make that clear moving forward, because there is going to be a lot of content during Pride Month, as well as beyond. If you've been here, we've been going for a year and a half on the bmovies blog. This channel is almost a year old. So I do want to touch on that briefly. Like, if you don't support the LGBTQI plus community, we're not the channel for you. So, just to make that abundantly clear. Moving on. So next up we have the original series. Again, I can't believe it only lasted 13 episodes, and I'm also having, I don't know if it's a Mandela effect, I don't know if I'm mixing up all of the content in my head, but like, I vividly remember an episode of the original series where, Stacy has a diabetic episode, but I can't find it, and it's driving me insane. And so if you're like, Bailey, it was part of a bigger episode, or like, if you know what I'm talking about, because I vividly remember it, and like, Elliot remembered it, my sister remembered it when I asked, but like, I don't know where it is. So anyway, moving on. The original Babysitter's Club series, it only ran for 13 episodes in 1990 is when it originally aired. And the series ends in the most 90s way with like a very special episode where they like reflect on their friendship. It's like a holiday, it seems to be like a holiday clip show, very special episode. So I from what I can take, they probably knew they weren't getting renewed. But the good news is, although the original series isn't available to stream anywhere, all of the episodes are on YouTube, and the quality is actually very good for it being from the 1990s and read from the quality is very good. And in the piece, I link the playlist that I found, so you can definitely check it out. So next up, let's move to, I feel like this, if you don't know anything about the Babysitter's Club and you grew up in the 90s or aughts, you know about the 1995 movie. The 1995 movie has Rachel Lee Cook, it has Larissa Olenek, it has Marla Sokoloff, it has Um, it has so many 90s like staples in it, and it even has Ellen Burst in it, which is wild. And so the movie definitely takes some creative liberties. And, like, it's more so these are these characters who live in this town. And it takes more of, like, a Bildungsroman approach of, like, a coming of age. Kind of like Now and Then would be something that I would compare it to. But it still has our core characters in it. It's still an iconic movie. And it's available to stream on Stars right now. So I definitely recommend checking it out if you need a good dose of nostalgia. However, fair warning, there's a very problematic storyline in it where one of the girls kind of dates a 17-year-old and she lies about her age. And she does eventually tell him, but it's proceed with caution, and, things like that are triggering. Just a heads up, that is in there. So the last thing that we're going to talk about is the reboot. So this is the series that premiered on Netflix, and it was great. Oh my gosh, it was so good. In my opinion, it did an excellent job of, like, introducing kids and a younger audience to harder topics like divorce and death. And it did a really good job, in my opinion, of, like, opening up for those dialogues with your kids. And it introduced LGBTQI plus characters. I cried multiple times throughout the series, and I was so bummed when I found out that Netflix had pulled the plug. I'm definitely grateful for the seasons that we have, but I definitely recommend binging this series if you haven't already. Just start preparing yourself for the episode Claudia and the Sad Goodbye now, because it will destroy you as a person. So that is the Babysitters Club. With all of our pieces this week, I will link them in the description box below so you can check them out. So yeah, that is the Babysitters Club. It was really fun to revisit part of my childhood / adulthood, since I watched the series when it came out a couple years ago. So yeah, that's our deep dive for today. So next up, let's move into our special features, and I have some stuff to talk to you about that I'm very excited about. So if you're new, special features, this section is reserved for updates on our favorite analog horror series or horror ARGs, any new analog horror or ARG series I want to talk about, things that we may not talk about on the blog or we haven't yet. So it's just a fun kind of catch-all perk of, again, subscribing to the channel. So the first thing I want to talk about is Mr. Samuel's Teatime Stories. So I know this project has been getting a lot of traction lately, but I had not had the chance to, like, sit down and watch it myself. I had just watched a couple different analysis videos over it. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about this. So if you aren't familiar with Mr. Samuel's Teatime Stories, it follows, like, whimsical characters and Mr. Samuel's as they try to explain time, existential dread, and other complicated aspects of adulthood. Now, I'm not going to necessarily spoil things about it, but I do want to talk about my interpretation of the series. As always, I will link everything we talk about piecewise and channel-wise. All of their channels will be linked below, so definitely go check out this series. I'll give you a second to watch. There are only 4 episodes as of now, and it's like, I think it's like 30 or 40 minutes to get through. Yeah, so it's like watching a show, basically. So I'm going to give you a second. Okay. So, as someone who has had several people in my life suffer from, and I've watched as they have suffered from degenerative neurological disorders like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, this series hit me hard. Throughout these episodes, it's very clear that this project, at least in my opinion, is an analogy for the mental deterioration from a disease such as Alzheimer's. There are hints throughout, i.e. when, like, Madeline says it's basically a bad time for us to be visiting because it's nighttime, which is when it's known as sundowners, when people with degenerative neurological disorders tend to get worse at night. Routine is also super important with patients with degenerative disorders, at least the ones in my life. I don't want to speak for everyone in the community, but routines were something with the people that I've had in my life that they really told us to focus on. And so there's a part in the series where Mr. Samuels tells us to like make our bed, is the advice that he has. He can't remember why he's giving that advice outside of that it's important. And it really hit close to home for me. Because we've talked about I had a very complicated relationship with my father, but he had early onset Alzheimer's, and then my grandfather passed away, who I was super close to. I had to watch him. He had Parkinson's and dementia, and it's just, if you've ever had people in your life and you've gone through this and gone through that journey with them, this series will hit you. Like, but it's so well done. Like, I am not here to say, like, don't watch it. We all know that's how I cope. So if that is triggering, maybe watch an analysis video first, or kind of, look on. I'm sure that there's a Reddit thread about this. But if you're like me and like you like that basically exposure therapy, you like this is how you cope, is by analyzing things like this. This is the perfect outlet. I also love this series because it provides this really unique perspective of how we revisit comforting content from our childhood. And it's like, what if you visit, something like The Big Comfy Couch, Bear in the Book House, but these, or, Blue's Clues, but these childhood characters have aged and they can no longer provide us with the advice and guidance that they had. And it's just this sinking feeling of, it's like the feeling that we get when we listen to Landslide by Stevie Nicks, right? Or at least that I get from the song Landslide, where you like realize time is constant. People age, things change. And so it's like this beautiful, poignant perspective on that. This is so good. So it to me, it watches like if you put the work of David Lynch and Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared into a blender, but then what came out was still new and was still its own thing. This is one of those pieces of content that I say this sometimes where I'm like, man, I wish I was still in college, because I would analyze the hell out of this. And so it makes me so happy that I talk about pop culture on the internet, because it's devastating, but it's a story that's so beautifully told. And so I don't know, the last episode came out a month ago. I don't know if we're going to get more. I will obviously talk about it more if we get more episodes. But I just want to say to Yara Asmar, who is the creator who wrote this script, with, you and your team, y'all are incredible. Like, this is so well written, so well executed. The music's phenomenal. And so I just kudos. You are so talented. So definitely check it out. I will link the channel below. And so next up, speaking of super talented, we have some good stuff this week, man. So let's talk about Dog Nightmares. This is one of the most unique analog horror series I've ever seen. It's this beautiful blend of live action and animation, including stop motion, and and drawings, and I've never seen a story told this way. And we know, I've been through all of them, good, the bad, and the ugly, and I've never seen a story told through these different mediums that have been combined. So, for context, our lead character, Emily, at the beginning, she seems to love William Wegman's dog characters, which you may know them, how I know them is from Sesame Street, where it's the Weimaraners, with the human hands and just like the Weimaraner head. So the bad news is, some sort of entity seems to know she loves them too. In fact, it seems to have known since she was a child. So throughout this series so far, Emily is searching for her beloved dog Bailey, and she's been revisiting things from her childhood, like photos, pictures, and the Wegman tapes. And unfortunately, the abomination from her childhood may not be far behind. And this thing, when I tell y'all, so here's the thing. It takes a lot to really scare me, and to bother me, and to stick with me. And this series has made my skin crawl. When you see that we have gotten glimpses throughout this series of the entity that is following and attached to Emily. I was horrified. That night I went to bed, and I keep my bathroom door open. How the kind of the layout is like, here's my bedroom, and then my bathroom, like you walk and then it's offset. And so I leave my bathroom door open because I have two bathroom doors. I have the bathroom door that opens to the sink, and then I have the bathroom door that opens to the toilet and the shower. And so I just leave that door open because you know. And I was writing this script, and I had to go turn on my bathroom light because I was horrified that freaking thing was going to peek around the door frame like it does in the teaser for season 2. And I'm not exaggerating. This series has freaked me out. So kudos, because y'all have gotten me. Y'all got me. So, like with Dr. Samuel's Teatime Stories, I'm going to give you a minute. I highly recommend to go watch these videos. I'm going to give you a second, and then I'm going to throw out some theories. As we know, sometimes my theories are way off. We know this, but it's not going to keep me from throwing them out. Sorry. So I have some ideas. So I'm going to give you a second. Again, I will link the channel in the description box below as always. So I'll give you a second. Okay. So here are my theories as of now on Dog. And obviously, like, the teaser trailer for, I think it was I don't remember if it was a teaser or a full trailer, for season 2 or chapter 2 is the most recent video on the channel. So we will obviously, this is a continuing, so we will talk about this. So we will be able to fact check me. So here are a few things that I think that I have personally gathered from this series so far. First and foremost, I think that Emily was either hospitalized or institutionalized. This theory comes from the fact that Emily's birthday card from her friend that she opens is a get well soon card. And there is a mention that Emily's dog may have been trying to find her, but Emily, quote unquote, couldn't come home. So I think there was some sort of event. Additionally, I think Emily might have painted the portrait of Bailey on purpose, as well as potentially watching these Wagman videos on purpose. I think she may be trying to lure this creature out. That's why she's looking at things from her childhood. That's why she paints the portrait of Bailey, because whatever this entity is seems to be very jealous of Bailey, the dog. And so that's what I currently think. I think I have more to say, but like to put a pin in this particular point, I think she is doing these things on purpose to lure it out, or to try to find a way to lure it out. It's clear that this Wagman creature may have harmed or gotten rid of Bailey. However, we're also getting some hints that Bailey might not be the first friend of Emily's that's gone missing. When we look at the photos from Christmas, it's clear one of the kids is Emily. But Emily may have had a sibling. And so when Emily finds a Polaroid that says he's still out there with it's her and a dude, I think that person in the Polaroid is her brother, and I think that the Wegman creature did something to him as well. I also think that might even be why the ship that we see, the animated ship in the trailer for season 2, is called the SS Simon, because I'm curious if Simon is her brother's name. Now, it could also potentially be her partner, and we might have lost a sibling, a partner, and a dog. It might just be anyone who gets close to her. This Wagman Abomination is like hard pass. So I think that at the very least it's gotten Emily's dog and her brother. At worst, it's gotten her partner, her sibling, and her dog. So either way, like, I can't wait to see where this story goes. Like, this is so good. I can't rave about this series enough. It's so good. And to throw out our catchphrase, YouTube is the future of horror. And I will say it over and over again. To me, YouTube is the future of horror. And, like, it is very clear by both of these projects that we've talked about. Like, these are insane. And again, I will link the channels below. Subscribe, watch their content, because both of these series are very poignant in different ways. And, you know, for Dog Nightmares, like I said, things do not bother me easily. Like, the last time I can't even tell you the last time, like, a horror movie got under my skin. The last time a horror movie got under my skin, it might have been Hereditary. Like, that might have been the last one that in recent memory that I can think of, is Hereditary. So, yeah. This one made my skin crawl. So, definitely check out both of those. And then finally, for our special features, I just want to touch on the new episode of Helluva Boss is up. It's season 2, episode 8, Full Moon. This episode destroyed me. I'm going to keep things very spoiler-free, very light, but be prepared. Y'all, I loved this episode. I thought this episode was perfectly balanced. I mean, each episode to me of Helluva Boss, it just gets better and better and better and better. And, you know, that's saying a lot, because from episode 1, it's a wonderful show. It's become, truly, this show has become one of my favorite shows. And I may have to move Stolas up on my tattoo list, because he is on my tattoo list. I'm obsessed with him. I love him. But yeah, I think this episode is so strong from front to back. It will destroy you. I was talking about it with one of my friends the other day. It just absolutely destroyed us. And so I will link Vizzy Pop's channel and the actual link to the episode, because you can watch all of Helluva Boss for free on YouTube, on their channel. It's free. So I can't recommend it enough. It is an adult cartoon, and they give you, there is a warning at the beginning of every episode. But I just love this series so much. Also, if you've not watched Has Been Hotel, it is a spinoff. They are in a shared universe. So check out Has Been Hotel on Amazon Prime. As far as I know, there is a second season coming of Has Been Hotel. I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's been like an official announcement, but I know that they've talked to several people who work on it, and I believe there's a second season coming. Obviously, like, I'll keep all posted. But yeah, this episode, Full Moon, destroyed me. Just absolutely destroyed me. There's one specific line, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but there was one specific line that just, like, ripped my heart out. So definitely check that out. And I'll also link our piece on Helluva Boss and Has Been Hotel in the description box below, so you can check it out. So that will do us for our special features. So last but not least, we have our subtitles, which are just fun pieces of pop culture news from around the internet, and I have a lot. So get comfy, grab some popcorn, grab an icy, because we're going to be here for a second. So up first, Bill Skarsgård will reprise his role as Pennywise in the new Welcome to Derry Max series. Kerry Washington and Glenn Close are also both joining the cast for Knives Out 3, which that cast just keeps getting better and better. The full principal cast from the National Treasure series will be returning for National Treasure 3, with Sean Bean as the villain. There is allegedly a 300 series in early development. I don't know about y'all, but this is really exciting to me that we're already seeing some Code Orange in places, and I'm very excited. We all know Halloween is my favorite holiday. It's I do 13 days of costumes, I do the 31-day horror channel, I do so many things. But there have been 2 new candies announced for this year. with Kit Kat Ghost Toast, aka a cinnamon French toast Kit Kat, delicious, sold, and Reese's Werewolf Tracks, which are a vanilla cream Reese's, are both set to release this spooky season. Both sound delicious. The packaging is very cute. Very excited. Megan Thee Stallion has announced her new album Megan, which will be out at the end of the month on June 28th. Sabrina Carpenter has also announced her new album called Short and Sweet, which will be coming August 23rd. I'm going to say, y'all, this year, the girlies have it unlocked when it comes to music for me. It has just been one incredible, it's been one incredible female artist album after another, and so I'm very excited. This one I'm super excited about. So the full first trailer for Alien Romulus has been released, and it looks so good. I'm also so excited because it comes out the day before my birthday, and so you already know that is going to be something I'm going to do for my birthday. I am so excited. So fingers crossed for a banger, because I love Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead, and I love Don't Breathe, and so I have very high hopes for this. In one of the, this was not on my bingo card. Like, this is something that I was like, I would have never guessed. There's a Hostel series in development starring Paul Giamatti. And so you can consider my interest definitely piqued, because that is one of the wildest things I've ever heard. Mark Duplass and co. are creating a spinoff of the 2 Creep films called the Creep Tapes. It's going to be like an anthology series where each episode is going to tell of a different victim who was lured into his, I'm going to be unalived and want to film, videos for my son who was kind of lured into his trap. Josh Brolin has also joined the cast of the new Knives Out film, which is great. That cast is stacked. Nicole Kidman has informally announced that there's going to be a 3rd season of Big Little Lies in development. So there is a 3rd season of Big Little Lies coming. It's in development, but that's all that we know so far. In one of the other wildest pieces of news, for some reason this is wild to me too. And I want to preface this by saying, I love Monster High. I collect Monster High dolls. I love Monster High. But they're going to do a live-action Monster High movie that will be written by Akiva Goldman, who wrote the screenplay, the Oscar-winning screenplay for A Beautiful Mind, which is a wild sentence, too, between Paul Giamatti being in a Hostel series and then the Monster High movie being written by the person who wrote the screenplay for A Beautiful Mind. It's just wild. It's wild out here. Dolly Parton has announced that she's developing a Broadway musical about her life called Hello, I'm Dolly. Super stoked for that. Would love to see that. That'd be incredible. Palm Royale has officially been renewed for a 2nd season. I'm a huge Palm Royale fan, so I am very excited. And then finally, Netflix has announced that a Peaky Blinders movie is being developed with Cillian Murphy set to star. So, that will do us for today's video. We're getting a lot of announcements on things left and right, so I'm sure that the subtitle section is going to be stacked this summer. I just want to say, follow me on Instagram at Lisa_Frankenstein_. Follow Elliot on Instagram at reading.with.red. Follow us on Instagram at bmovies_channel. Again, that's where you can only get Bite-Sized Sundays. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's free. Be sure to leave us a like if you feel so inclined, and leave a comment if you're feeling frisky. And so I think with all of that, all that's left to do is fade to black.